Hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of The Walking Globe. I am your host, Anish Deshpande. So we're going to start off with the United States today, and then we're going to expand worldwide to all the countries of the world. So as you guys know, the United States is comprised of 50 states, and throughout the US, there are major cities that provide the lifeblood through the whole country. So I'm going to talk about the 20 most populous metropolitan areas in the United States, and each video will be based on population from highest population to lowest population. So because of that, the first video will be about, drumroll please, New York City. New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. A place where everybody is in a rush just to end up showing up to work 2 hours late because cat-sized rats have halted service on the Lexington line.
Oh my God!
Now, we all know that New York City is a giant metropolis with so many different aspects, so obviously I will not be able to cover everything in this video, but I will try my best. So without further ado, let's check out the map. The New York tri-state area is on the Atlantic coast of the United States, containing 3 states, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, with a metropolitan area population of approximately 20 million and a city population of approximately 8.5 million. New York City and the New York metropolitan area is the most populated metropolitan area in the United States, containing more people than 40 of the 50 states. New York City itself is comprised of 5 boroughs: the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the largest by population, Queens is the largest by area, and Manhattan is the most densely populated island in the US. Now for physical geography. New York City is located where the Hudson River meets the Atlantic Ocean. Well, not exactly. The Hudson River flows into the upper, then lower bay, and then the Atlantic Ocean. Manhattan is an island because the Harlem River and East River come to a confluence with the Hudson River / Upper Bay at Brooklyn Heights. It would also be worthy to point out that the Long Island Sound to the north of Long Island is over here. If you travel to New York City or the New York metropolitan area to see nature and wildlife, be prepared for disappointment. In Manhattan especially, there are people literally everywhere. And the one place that everyone can escape to for just a breath of fresh air is Central Park. Except for pigeons and rats, there isn't really anything special. Most people who want to get out of the city and explore the wildlife and the nature in the area usually have no choice except to travel to New Jersey or north of the Hudson Valley. Back to the city, let's talk about the transportation. The MTA, or Metropolitan Transportation Authority, is the largest mass transit company in the entire nation, and the New York City subway is the life to the city, and which is also probably the reason why many New Yorkers do not drive. With 472 stations and over 5.5 million daily riders, the New York City subway is by far the busiest in America. Although the system is slightly outdated to say the least, it is incredibly beneficial for people living in other neighborhoods outside of downtown Manhattan, such as the neighborhoods in Bronx, in Queens, in Brooklyn, that can have easy access to the subway and can get to work pretty easily. But wait, there's more. When we talk about New York City train stations, pretty much only 2 of them come to mind. There's this disgusting thing called Penn Station, and then there's this glorious masterpiece called Grand Central. Penn Station is the busiest train station in the United States, while Grand Central Station is the largest station by area in the entire world. Furthermore, the Long Island Railroad, which is a railroad headquartered in Long Island and services all of Long Island, including New York City, is the busiest railroad company in the United States. Speaking more of public transportation, New York City has 3 major airports: John F. Kennedy International Airport, LaGuardia International Airport, and Newark International Airport. And although Newark International Airport is in New Jersey and it's not in New York City, it's technically considered a New York area airport. But we can't talk about New York City transportation without mentioning this thing. You know it, you hate it, traffic. The traffic in New York City is pretty much unbearable, and nothing exemplifies this more than the dreaded one and only George Washington Bridge. The single busiest bridge not only in the US, but in the whole world. Diverging from terrifying bridges, let's talk about the people. New York is a place unlike any other, and the people are not different. And throughout the years, they have developed some unique characteristics, such as the well-known New York accent. Now, the New York accent does not vary on the borough, but rather the socioeconomic background or the wealth or income of the family. Now, this accent right here is not perfect, but if you want to hear a stereotypical New York City accent, this is what you're usually going to hear. Sorry about that. So let's get discussing with some history. This place was settled first by the Dutch, and then the British, and then other immigrants and other groups of ethnic minorities immigrated here in the later centuries. Over 700 languages are spoken here, and there are still people from ethnic minorities living in the boroughs today. This makes New York not only a large global hub, but a cultural epicenter as well. And with cultural diversity, you know what that means: food. New York City is said to have the most authentic food from all cultures. You can find street food carts all throughout Manhattan, but trust me when I say this, you cannot go to New York without trying the New York pizza. New York pizza might be the most New York thing you can ever encounter, other than, rat taekwondo, people fighting on the subway, and of course, cars honking at random pedestrians. Speaking of which, fun fact, I've been told by many people that a New York minute is the time elapsed between when the red light turns green and the person behind you starts honking. You might be wondering where you are even going in the first place. Well, fear not, my imaginary friend. There are tons of entertainment throughout the city. You can go to Times Square and see the neon lights, or you can go to Broadway and see a show or a play. Many late night show hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Trevor Noah are in New York. And if you're a sports fan, you're in luck because New York and the metropolitan area have 9 sports teams throughout the 4 major American sports. For hockey, you got the New York Rangers, New York Islanders, and the New Jersey Devils. For baseball, you got the New York Mets and the New York Yankees. For basketball, you got the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks. Bing bong! And for American professional football, you got the New York Jets and the New York Giants. I know, it's been rough.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And if you're not a sports fan, you're still in luck because New York has some of the most iconic structures and tourist attractions in the whole world. Just like the world famous Empire State Building, which has been towering the skylines for over 90 years. The Statue of Liberty, which is considered to be the gateway to America. The Brooklyn Bridge, which is one of the oldest suspension bridges in the United States. And the One World Trade Center, which is the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Although New York has a culture unlike any other, it's mainly known for its economic and financial developments, especially southern Manhattan. Wall Street in southeastern Manhattan may look like your average messed up street, but it is certainly not that. This 8-block long street in the financial district is like the mecca for economics. This is because the New York Stock Exchange building is located on Wall Street, which is the world's biggest stock exchange. Money basically lives and dies here. So overall, New York sticks out in the world stage like a sore thumb. This city is so well known throughout the world, and as the largest city in the United States by population, it certainly lives up to that reputation. Life is fast-paced here. Everything is just louder and everything is definitely bigger. So many nicknames have been stereotyped in New York, such as the city that never sleeps and the Big Apple. It just has this constant motor that cannot be matched by any place, let alone city. New York itself could be a global superpower just because of all of its amenities. So many songs have been written about this concrete jungle where dreams are made of. As we close on New York, the diversity, energy, and excitement this place encapsulates cannot be ignored at all. And if you ever get a chance to visit, just sit there and just soak it all in because, trust me, it's worth it. But when you do soak it in, please be vigilant, because it's all fun and games until this guy comes around.